trials in early 1973 garnered national attention for months, and local television stations carried virtually non-stop reports. Print reporters set up camp outside the Navy Law Center, vying for a seat in the overflowing spectator section of the courtroom. Articles flowed from newspapers and news magazines throughout the country. More often than not, their headlines trumpeted USS Kitty Hawk race riot. When the trials began, a group of picketers were marching outside the gates of the San Diego Naval Station with banners proclaiming, "Free the Kitty Hawk 21." Politicians even joined in. A United States Congress subcommittee conducted daily hearings to investigate the Kitty Hawk incident. On January 3, 1973, just before I walked into a military courtroom to defend the first of my clients, the Congressional Subcommittee released its report to the national press. The subcommittee is of the position that the riot on Kitty Hawk consisted of unprovoked assaults by a very few men, most of whom were below average mental capacity, most of whom had been aboard for less than 1 year, and all of whom were black. This group as a whole acted as thugs, which raises doubt as to whether they should ever have been accepted into military service in the first place. As you will see in this narrative, virtually every assertion in that statement is pure fiction. I was honored to wear the uniform of a U.S. Navy officer, and am proud of and eternally grateful for those who have worn military uniforms in defense of our country. You will learn about some of them here. There are others, however, whom I have less respect for, and you will hear about them also. I witnessed racial injustice up close and personal while representing the Kitty Hawk sailors. My defense of those sailors remains to this day the most challenging and emotionally charged experience of my entire legal career. This, then, is the untold story of the Kitty Hawk incident and the trials that followed. Part 1. Kitty Hawk at Sea. Chapter 1. In the Beginning. Date, 12 October, 1972. Time, 15:30 hours. Location, U.S. Naval Station Law Center, San Diego. I was in my office reviewing witness statements for a desertion trial when the Law Center director dropped by. Captain Newsom wasn't stopping just to visit, as he sometimes did. He handed me a new case file. "I thought you'd like this one, Marv," he said. "Your guy is charged with sniffing jet fuel." "Seriously?" "Afraid so," he said. "He was on the Ticonderoga when the carrier's drug supply apparently dried up. They found him passed out next to a barrel of jet fuel with its lid pried off." "Sniffing jet fuel? Is that even an offense?" "I know," he said with a hint of a smile. "I thought you'd find it interesting." After almost 2 years as a JAG lawyer, I was no longer surprised at the files that crossed my desk. I had arrived at the Naval Station Law Center in January of the previous year, fresh out of Naval Justice School, and a newlywed of just over a week. San Diego was sunny that morning, just like most mornings, when I drove up to the Law Center in my 1962 blue and white Chevrolet Impala. The Law Center was a quiet, nondescript one-deck structure that looked over the San Diego harbor. As I pulled up, I noticed a large steel-gray Navy vessel at the pier just beyond the palm trees on the front lawn. Although I was a U.S. Navy officer, I didn't have a clue what kind of vessel it was. It was probably because I hadn't paid much attention to such things during Naval Officer Indoctrination School. Every ship has a hull classification code. DE is a destroyer escort, LST a landing ship tank, and so on for more than 100 codes. We were supposed to memorize them, but for a bunch of soon-to-be Navy lawyers, we didn't see much point. An OIS classmate simplified it for us all by calling them GBBs and LBBs, great big boats and little bitty boats.